Hey guys, welcome back to more Stanley Parable. And yes, this is the menu screen now. I mean, I don't know how, I don't know why. Actually, I do know why, because the narrator wanted to change it to Stanley Parable too. But yeah, this is the menu screen now. Anyways, so we got the bucket in the last video, and I don't know if there's going to be anything that happens with the bucket, or is the bucket just a useless piece of thing that I'm just carrying around? So, I don't know. Let's get started.
This is the story of a man named...
Skip. Well, I see the balloons.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
There are balloons everywhere now. Look at... Oh, the bucket is also here. Look at that.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Okay. Oh, look, the new content door is gone.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I don't know what we are doing. Let's just follow and see what she says. Follow along.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. His boss's office was where he'd find answers.
What the hell?
Coming to a
Warmth and
staircase,
comfort.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Excuse me.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Okay.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
But I feel like the ending is gonna be the same, right? I mean, it's just with the bucket, but the ending is the same ending as always.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing
My
him,
God.
comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Okay, here we go.
The
This is the
lights
third
rose
time we are
on
coming
an
here.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Stanley and the bucket. Okay.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs.
Only difference
Bucket
being there
had
is
never
no
seen
one there in
anything
this
like
office.
and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Okay.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What
My
kinds
God.
of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions
Very
raced
good
furiously in
questions.
Stanley's feeble mind.
Very, very good questions.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Oh my god.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind-control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to...
What just happened?
Wait, what was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
Oh my God.
The facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket.
Oh God.
Needed the soothing warmth of the bucket.
So it is a different ending then.
Lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped.
Really?
Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Alright, so we are back. So that means as long as we have the bucket, all the endings that we got previously will be different now.
All of his co-workers.
That's interesting.
What did it mean?
I guess we'll
decided to go
be
to the meeting room. Perhaps
roaming
he had simply
around,
missed a memo.
doing
Stanley
all of the
lifted
things
the
we've
bucket
done
into his arms, and a wave of
before?
comfort rushed over him.
Okay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no
I'm
one
gonna
was
keep
here.
going. Maybe
Stanley needed the bucket's
I know.
warmth
Maybe
and
I'll go
comfort now
down the
more than ever.
stairs instead of going
Perhaps
to the
his
boss's office.
was where he'd find out. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed
something be
everyone had
different?
vanished.
I am not
His
sure.
boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket.
Oh my God,
perhaps.
the music.
How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed,
The bucket just went away. What the hell?
The rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd.
The bucket
Now
just
he felt himself
vanished.
floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed.
Well, I am
Without
floating.
My bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Oh my god.
Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be?
Oh my god.
He rushed forward from room to room,
Can I
passing
even
by
pick it
one
up?
bucket after
No?
the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Look at all the
Come to
buckets.
me, Stanley. Find me.
What the
He had
fuck?
to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
What? Look at it. The
Stanley
buckets are
doubled
just
over in agony
multiplying now.
and blacked out.
Oh.
This is the story
Okay.
of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
Oh, she has a bucket
But on
now.
this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
What the
Of
hell?
course, he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him.
I did take my
Perhaps
bucket
he
with
didn't
me.
even realize
Then
he'd
it
forgotten his
vanished.
bucket at home in
So
the
what do you
first
want me to
place.
do, bro?
How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought. She hugged her own bucket even tighter. Of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything.
What
Heck
the
yes, she
hell?
thought to herself. My life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Oh god. And we're back.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Where is my
Stanley
bucket?
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply the confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Okay, so we're gonna go
Stanley clutched the bucket
left
tightly
again.
to his chest and entered the door on his
And
left.
I don't know actually. Maybe we'll.
Still no one was here.
Oh, I know.
Stanley
We'll go
needed
that
the
escape
bucket's
route.
warmth and comfort now more than
Let's
ever.
see what that
Perhaps
does.
his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Okay. Supposed
Stepping into his
to.
manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket.
Soothing
Even now,
presence.
in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos.
Oh, you know what
It
we need
would
to
be
do?
with
We
him
also need to go to
always.
the mind control
The
thing and
bucket.
press yes and see
And
what
he knew
happens
it.
if
The two
I
of
have
them
the
were
bucket.
inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he
Tender
didn't notice the
spiritual
keypad behind the
connection.
boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Oh my god. Wait. 2, 8, 4, 5.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Certainly the most logical explanation. Okay. Man, I can't believe I was like dissing this bucket.
The elevator
When,
raced
you know,
downward,
it's related to, like,
plummeting
new
towards
endings
an
and shit.
unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
No.
Mind Control. Although this passageway had the word
Nope.
escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
We'll both meet a
The
violent
door
death.
behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
I'm not afraid. I am not. Whoop. Okay, okay. Yep. Oh god. I still have my bucket, so that's reassuring.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But
How
what
do you
use
think this
is
is
a
gonna
sense of
end?
ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself.
I mean,
And
I
he sort
remember
of
last time
kicked
it was at
himself
the
for wasting
museum,
so
right?
much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Okay. That's still scary, to be honest.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Okay. Walking
It was
into
a
the
shame,
darkness.
the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way,
Oh.
but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
What? This is different. This is not the museum anymore. I mean, I guess it's a museum for the bucket? The hell? There is a lonely chair on that corner.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
25 buckets. This is definitely more than 25 buckets. Are you kidding me? Okay, what do we have here? Oh my god, really? Bucket with 2 handles. Okay. Inferno bucket. A medieval bucket. Really? Cave paintings with a bucket? What the fuck? Dude, this is funny.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Man who should kneel before the bucket. The hanging bucket. Oh, this is... What? This is where we came in from. Oh shit, am I supposed to jump? What the fuck? I can walk on it? Are you kidding me? Can I take it? Oh.
But there is
Well.
something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let
Die.
Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket.
What the
We can
hell? So
save
you'll
the world's
kill
buckets
me.
from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
So the bucket will take over the world, is it? It's gonna become a leader? I think
All of
this
his
time we'll go
co-workers
to the
were
mind
gone.
control
What
center
did it mean?
and press yes.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
And
room.
see what
Perhaps he had
happens.
simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms.
Do you think it's
With the
gonna blow
bucket
up
in his
like last
arms
time?
again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and
I mean, I have the
entered door on
bucket,
his
so
left.
I'm assuming it's gonna be different.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever.
Now
Perhaps
more
his
than
boss's
ever.
office was where he'd find out. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I think it was
Stepping into his
2845,
manager's
right?
office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yeah, I've been pressing that
Was
same
the
code
bucket
forever
guiding
now.
him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
The most logical explanation. I don't think it'll blow up because they care about the bucket so much, right? They don't give a shit about me, but apparently
Stanley
the
and the
bucket
bucket
is...
walked straight
Oh my
ahead through
god.
the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Okay.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
This really is very
What
pretty.
horrible secret did
Looks
this place
so
hold?
cool.
Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The
There
bucket
is
had
no
never
one in
seen
the
anything like
office.
this,
It's all
and It very
empty.
nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Cradled it gently. Okay.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Alright.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. But
Well,
at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan
what the
all
hell?
along?
It's all
To
dark.
take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Oh,
Birds. Silly
What?
birds. The control buttons became active again.
what? I am sorry, what? What the fuck?
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a
What?
facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley
This is
marveled at the metal
crazy.
genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best.
Dude, this is
And
insane.
Stanley was happy.
Look at all these birds, man. What? Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone.
I
What
guess
could
we
it
are gonna
mean?
go right this
Stanley
time.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had... Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled.
Yes, I
He'd never be
smiled.
alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to it. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the
Oh,
meeting
wait.
room.
Yeah, we could do this also, right? Okay, hold
And
on.
so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section
shall
and
do
walked
this.
straight ahead to the opposite door.
All right. I remember last time this was really, really long, right?
Good Stanley.
Went on
I'm glad you found
forever.
your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
What?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket
What?
isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the
don't know how you
Adventure
throw the
Line?
bucket
We
away,
could make
so
the
I have
Adventure
to
Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes,
decide.
that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Okay. Sure.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going
This
to
is
have to give
creepy,
something
not
up.
gonna lie. What the f?
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
What?
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
What?
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely
Destroys
you
the
don't need me to
bucket?
spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Okay.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
Singular
Sure, I can
personality
hear you
trait.
saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the
Shaking.
pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would
Oh
see
my
that
God,
its
something is
desire to
happening.
crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance
I'm just
that
gonna
it's
put it
really
in
like
there.
10 personality traits. What other object in
Why
this
am I
game
not
can you
giving it
even
the
say that
bucket?
about? The broom
I'm not
closet?
giving it to
Certainly
him.
not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this.
Can I?
Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get
trying,
back to the
it's not
classic Stanley
happening.
Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that
What?
damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it,
Oh
the
my God,
fans,
some shit is
Stanley. Give the
happening.
fans what they want. Hurry and...
Oh my God. Dude, this sounds like
Bucket
Halo,
Destroyer.
right? The Halo
My
soundtrack.
prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell some spell-binding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
And we're back. Alright guys, I think I'm going to stop it here for today, and we'll try and get some more endings in the next one. So thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!